The dream scenario for almost any wall printer is landing a 100-room project for a major hotel chain. For one of our operators, that dream is becoming a reality. Today's video might be one of the most exciting conversations we've filmed yet. We sat down with Ryan from Upright Images in New Hampshire, who's landing a seriously big opportunity. 100 murals in 100 rooms for a major hotel chain. Now, this isn't just a big job in terms of scale. It's a perfect example of how wall printing can unlock real commercial revenue. We cover everything in this conversation, from pricing strategies to client pitches, all the way to logistics on a job this size. Now, if you want expert insights and real-world guidance on how to grow your wall printing business, join the Wall Print Academy using the link below. But for now, grab a coffee, hit that like button, and let's jump in. Sweet. So tell me about it, man. Where you at?
Yeah, so this project essentially came across through some Facebook ads that I have recently invested in and gotten some pretty good return on investment on that as far as leads and solid leads and
Excellent.
generating some business. So that's been promising. This particular lead originally started with the individual wanting me to do an outdoor wall mural on a Best Western hotel, like 7 stories, including scaffolding, like the whole 9 yards. The texture was that cement style rough brick. So not only was it brick with the indents on the side, but it also had that like off gradient. So it was not my ideal print scenario. Didn't want to lose the business, obviously. I at least got my foot in the door to have a conversation with the guy. So I offered to do a free sample in his hotel lobby. He came back with a proposition of doing one of a 4-foot by 12-foot mural in one of their guest rooms, specifically on the headboard wall. And I came back to him with a quote. He said, but I followed that quote up with, if you're interested in volume pricing, then we can certainly go down that road as well.
Smart man, yeah.
So he said, hey, this is, I don't know about this price, but we can definitely talk about volume pricing. So what does it look like for 100 rooms? So then I picked my jaw off the floor and said, okay, I gotta make some phone calls and figure this out because I have no idea what that looks like. I would love to, and I'll figure it out, but I'm not there yet.
Awesome. Okay, so you have made the pitch. They understand where you're at. They know the value of the offering, and
Yes.
now they're just trying to secure pricing.
Correct. Yeah. So they want pricing and they want to know ideal preparation. So what is it they need to do on their end to create an ideal scenario for myself, i.e., like
And
wall
yeah,
preparations.
what are you printing on? Like, is it going to be a
Just standard drywall. Yeah, just
drywall?
standard drywall. Yep.
Okay,
Which is
that's easy.
Yeah, straightforward enough.
Check. Yeah, that's a nice one. Not 7 stories of scaffolding outside on brick and stucco. So,
Correct.
Awesome. Okay, and then do you know what you're printing?
They have a design team, and they're essentially just going to provide me with the digital images. So it's so straightforward for me. The way I'm looking at it is I really just have to understand what that looks like as far as materials, what that looks like as far as like a time commitment, how many rooms I can realistically get accomplished in a day. And then essentially how to do a volume pricing for something that large to where I'm not underpricing myself, but still giving them a tempting offer.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so you don't know? Do you have any idea of what the images are going to be? And the reason I ask is that, like, obviously, dependent on what type of image it is, what kind of style, what will be dependent on whether or not you can do 4-pass or 8-pass, and
Interesting,
right? That will dictate your timing. Also, are the walls white? Because if the walls aren't white, then it pretty much you have to do 8-pass because you won't be able to get enough
because
white
you're going to have to do, yeah. So, all right. So let's just assume that we're doing 8-pass because I don't think that the walls are white from the photos that they sent me. And is it a reasonable request to ask them to have an accent wall in their room that's just white?
It can, if we determine that it's going to impact pricing, it's like a worthwhile discussion to have. But I would go in on the assumption that that's not going to be the case.
Okay.
Price accordingly, and then leave that as a discussion point after the fact. You don't want to present this price and then not. It sounds like you're at least have a dialogue with the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be nice to be able to present the price and then be like, I'd love to get you on a call, give you some time to digest, and then let's hop on a call and I can address any questions that you might have, and we can talk about what logistics might look like so that you can kind of take on if there are any objections, because there's no assumption to say that there will be, right? You might knock it out of the park and be like, this is incredible value and we're happy with all of this. But that's usually where I'd like to start, and that gives you some room to move and gives them a direction. It's like, well, we can reduce the price, but it's going to require, a preparation of the wall, going in and painting, which to them is going to be a lot more costly than just paint, right? They're
Right,
gonna have to
right,
shut
right.
down rooms and do a lot of paint prep. So if you price yourself with the assumption that you're going to have to use white, um, and they just accept that, then that's good that you've built in that part of the project. And I wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily specify in my quote that, like, if it is not a white wall and I have to use white ink, like, I wouldn't get so much into the specifics. Just price the whole project as if you're printing the image on the wall, because they don't understand the difference between white ink and not white ink. So
Right, right,
price it as if you're going to print with white ink. So add 8 pass with white ink, and that's going to get you a bit more buffer and padding on your pricing. If they accept and you don't have to print with white, like, bonus. Now you're able to print
right,
at
right.
4 pass. You've just gained yourself a whole bunch of time back, and it makes the project more profitable. If you do and they want to reduce the price, then you can have this discussion. All right, well, depending on the image, depending on the wall, you guys can prep the wall. We can adjust the images to be this type of image, and I can print in 4 pass. It'll reduce our time, and we can knock 10-15% off of this price.
Okay. That makes a
It
lot of
really
sense.
it really gives them a direction in the event that they have pricing pushback. But it'll allow you, if you're able to address it over a call, to kind of like gauge where they're feeling it. Because some people are just going to push pricing regardless,
Right,
just to see if they can get a better deal. And
right, right.
you can be like, well, this, and that gives you a bit of a chance to address it head on.
Okay, okay. And essentially just, reinforce why the costs are what they are.
Yeah, yeah, and it gives you a chance to bring up comparatives and alternatives. Like, guys, what's it going to cost you guys to get custom artwork or wallpaper or any of those things? We'll be in and out of there. There's no glue, there's no adhesives. This is robust and resilient, and allows you to kind of make the pitch in terms of the value add that wall printing has and that your company has, and why they've decided to even consider you in the first place. And if you're completely out to lunch on pricing, then they'll say you're completely out to lunch on pricing, and at least that gives you a benchmark. I mean, like, all right, well, we can either move from there and try to like really shift the artwork and go to like a basic black and white line drawing, which you can do in 2 pass, and like now you've like quadrupled your print speeds.
Right.
Or they just like don't exactly know. But I can't imagine you'd be out to lunch because they already seen pricing, right? Like they know what one wall looks like, and
Correct.
so
And I priced the first wall out at 18 a square foot. And that's
okay,
considerably lower than what I would do, right? I've been doing 25 a square foot and had some success with that. So that's sort of where I was at. But I knew from the get go that like they're already not, I just wanted to get my foot in the door. So I brought it down
yeah.
to 18. And then when he said, we want volume pricing, that's great. But I'm thinking like, okay, so now what is he expecting? Like
How far
$10
down can you
a
go?
square
Yeah.
foot? Like what is, what does volume pricing look like in your eyes versus mine? So,
What kind of, I mean, just from a personal gut check feel, like what kind of feel did you get from him when you talked to him? Did he seem like a reasonable guy? Is he like
yeah, he seems pretty easygoing, pretty straightforward. And the part that I was excited about was that he was excited about the tech, right? It wasn't just like, the wall mural, and then that's the end of the discussion. He was like, okay, well, what else can you do for me? Because this is really cool.
yeah, the story? Well, I mean, you got him from an outside mural print to an indoor print, so he's obviously tied into the to the tech
Right.
and the advantage of wall printing. So that's a great spot to be. I think, given where you position yourself in this industry as a new business associated with a new tech, you can be like, listen, I priced you with that one mural with the understanding that you guys are Best Western, and I tried to get you a great price coming into this thing. So I don't
Mm,
think you're going to have to drop from 18 to 10. I think you can realistically go from like 18 to 15 or 14.50,
okay.
right? And he was like, I thought there'd be a bigger discount. Be like, understand that I came in with the expectation that this was going to be, a multi-room scenario. I
Hmm.
priced you on the assumption of 20 rooms. You're giving me 100, so I'll drop it further for 100, but I can't go much lower than that. And what those numbers are really going to be up to you in terms of like how much you're willing to take, because at the end of the day, the bulk of the cost associated with wall printing in general is mobilization and setup. I mean,
Right.
your drive to site, unloading the machine, getting it prepped, getting it onto the wall, and printing, and then demobilizing the machine, putting it in your car and bringing it home is sometimes more time than the printing itself. So
Right,
when
right.
you eliminate that and you're literally just rolling room to room to room to room, like significantly more efficient. You can knock out 3 or 4 projects, 3 or 4 prints in a day, depending on sizing. Like
Hmm.
that's a nice steady pace, guaranteed income that can justify a kind of lower per square foot cost.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, which I would agree wholeheartedly with, because I just imagine that this is going to be at least a month to 2 months, somewhere in
Mm-hmm.
between that range of consistent printing day after day.
Yeah. Yeah. Did he give you a timeline on when they were hoping to get it done? Is this like
This
as soon
winter.
as this winter?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
great. So it gives you
December-ish.
some time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then size, like what are we talking about in terms of size
Yeah, they
per
said like
per
4 feet
wall?
by 12 feet per room.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah,
So it's a
those are
decent.
chunky prints, man.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Well, and
That's
that,
awesome.
the first print was at 2,000, right, for the room. And even after I sent it, I was just like, oh, 2,000, like. But that's just because I don't have money, and I think everyone else doesn't have money. I mean, Best
Yeah,
Western
no,
doesn't have
man,
money.
that's
Yeah,
a nice realization as a business owner when you realize like, holy shit, like I'm scraping by here, but not everybody else
yeah.
is,
Not
and
everyone else
like,
is, right,
well, I
right.
gotta shift my understanding of dollars to the business world's understanding of dollars,
Yes, yes.
and from a hotel's perspective and all of that, when you go in, be like, listen, we'll take some pictures of the rooms. We'll do some time lapse and things like that. You guys should plan on rebranding, updating all of your Google listings. Like this is going to be a major differentiator for you for the hotel, and so that's also kind of a value add here. Like you're going to get
So, do
these
you
like
think I
really
should
high
be?
end
Do you
custom
think I should
murals.
be? Sorry, but I do think I should reach back out to them and sort of inquire for more specific information, like what the murals are going to be, or you think I'm past that part?
At this point, it's like I don't think it's going to change. I would go in on the assumption that you're going to have to print at least a date pass, run your timing on that, which I have it clocked in at around 12 to 15 square feet an hour. So that puts you at 48 at 12. That's 4 hours, 4 hours of print. So you can get
Okay.
about two prints a day. So that's
Yep.
going to be 2 prints a day, solid 7 days a week. You're going to be there for 2 months.
Right. At
Short
least.
10 days, and do it that way, right? Make that assumption. Go in at that price. Know that you can get 2 prints a day, and price it accordingly. Price it as if that's going to make you feel happy to go in on day 40, right?
Right.
It's
Right. Right.
like
Right.
I know I'm going to be making $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 today. Like, yep, totally worth it.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and if you go in like that, then at least you have a starting point that you're excited about. And then if pricing becomes the sticking point, you have kind of room to go down to meet them somewhere where they feel like you're making some concessions, and you're still feeling as if you have it's worth the time, because it's going to be a massive commitment. Are you doing this full time? Is this going to be,
No, this
you
is
think?
this is it full time. I mean, I'll share with you real quick. I'm actually on the site. I had to just pause it here, but I'm doing this one for
Nice.
a roofing agency.
Oh, there you go. How'd the blue turn out? I saw this one in
Yeah,
Facebook.
so not bad. Minus two spots on the wall that I think they must be like some stain or something. It just that off color.
Fingerprints.
That's
Yep.
exactly, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I'm learning.
That's
I'm
a tough
learning.
one, man. That's a tough one. Liam actually had that problem on a project. So my recommendation for those are always like cleaning of the wall is always a massive,
Mm,
helps move things forward in terms of preventing fingerprints. I use a diluted simple green and a microfiber cloth. I spray the wall down. I spray the entire print area, right? Not just the areas that have stains, because that will actually give you a discolor. So I spray the whole thing down. I wipe it with a microfiber cloth, and then I soak the microfiber cloth in water, and I do
mm.
2 water wipes to pull any sort of solution off the wall. And then I take a second dry cloth and I
Yeah.
wipe it down afterwards. So like it's a it's a
I think Kyle shared that with me in the Discord channel, and I ended up using that for a school project, and it was clutch because I would not have done that had he not shared that with me, and I would
nice.
have had a lot of issues on that print had I not done it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. Trust me, the amount of fucking fingerprints we've had to deal with is like, you just eventually you come up with something that seems to work. So that's worked for like 90 4-ish% of our projects, but this project Liam was working on, it was at an HVAC company. They had a lot of tradesmen through their offices, and like I guess the grease on the wall was like industrial grease, and it just like
Right.
by the third print, he's like, dude, this isn't working. And so the response to that is print with white. By adding a white underlay, you're actually just like putting so much ink on the wall that any fingerprint or anything like that kind of just dissipates, and you're now applying your
Really?
ink on top of the white. Yeah. So white comes with its own challenges because you're having to print a little slower, and you have to print it at least 8 pass and all the DPI settings and all of that. But at
Right.
least if fingerprints are of a concern, then at least you're it's being addressed.
Right. Right. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So in this case as well, you're going to be going into existing hotel rooms. God knows what has been on those walls. So again, really dependent on the image, because fingerprints only really show up when you've got blocks of solid color or like great, smooth gradients. In your case, that's sky. I bet there's fingerprints in that barn. You don't see them, right? Like
Yeah.
there's so much detail.
Road, yeah, definitely not in the barn, but right in the blue spots. Like, oh, you can only see it in the blue spots.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's like it's one of those where it's either, like we were talking about in the community there, swap out your blue sky for like some clouds or like even text or whatever, right? Like try to break it up, or you end up printing with white, or clean the wall. Again, in most cases, like cleaning the wall does the trick. And the beauty with you in this project is like you got 100 shots at it, so like you'll know pretty quickly whether or not it works, and then you can make your adjustment, which is why I'm always keen to price on the assumption that not worst case scenario, but that like gives you coverage so that you can always go back to these kind of slowest settings with the most amount of ink and still feel good that that's not a like major concession of the project.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So a follow up question would be that would you just assume the worst for the whole scenario and sort of price accordingly, or would you sort of give like an alternative where you say like, this is an estimate with cleaning surface preparation, this is an estimate without cleaning surface preparation?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get so far into those weeds right out of the gate, because we don't know where their benchmark price is, right? So you start giving them too much information, they're going to start to ask more questions about whether or not they're getting the value for what I mean? Like it causes pause. Oh, cleaning. So if we go in and clean the wall, then you're going to reduce your price. You're like, well, yeah, maybe, but are you going to clean the wall correctly? Then I have to give you instructions. And then if you don't, I'm still on the hook to clean it because I'm not going to stop the project to get, you know what I mean? So,
Right.
so I try not to add too many of those, at least not on a preliminary bid, which is why I'm always adamant about, if you have the relationship, like it sounds like you do, that you present the bid and then, suggest a call afterwards so that you can, finalize things, kind of position the call as like, if you have any questions, and then we can talk about the next steps forward. So you submit it via email and then say, in 2 or 3 days, if you want to get on a call, happy to address any questions. And then we can talk about what the next steps would look like, with the presumption that you're already moving forward into the projects. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
that kind of psychology definitely, I find it helps. I'm sure there's like actual proven sales strategies around that type of stuff, but assume that you have the work and let them kind of claw you back and be like, oh, you know what, this is actually looking a little more than we expected. And then you can start to get into some of the nuanced discussions about wall color and cleaning. That being said, like in the grand scheme of things, you're printing for 4 hours at 8 pass. If you have to add 15 minutes to clean, if you have to, you know what I mean? Like, and even if you're printing 4 hours and your 4-hour print becomes a 6-hour print and you're still making $1,500 in 6 hours, like that's a good day.
Yeah, and reasonably, I can be cleaning one room while I'm printing on the other. So it's with that much, I could plan accordingly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, you keeping an eye on the machine is always a nice thing to have. I'm not gonna.
Of course,
I'm
yeah.
gonna
Well,
give that.
if I lock this down, I'll be hiring someone. It's not just going to be a one man show. I'm not doing 100
Okay, there you
rooms
go.
by myself. Yeah, that's a no go.
Yeah, I would recommend that. That's good. You only really need a body. Like they don't have to necessarily be super expensive or incredibly technical, especially if you're not running a second machine. It's just a matter of prepping the next room, and keeping an eye on things if you're if you're not there, and honestly, just to have somebody to talk to because it can get pretty boring on those projects.
Yeah. Wow, maybe I'll just make him go prep the rooms, and
Yeah, that's what I
that'll
mean.
be
And I
next.
was like, all right, great, go and clean ahead. So like I did this project, and it was 6 floors. We did 38 individual prints on each floor. The prints were very basic, but there were 38 of them, right? It was a basic kind of like textured black outline.
Okay.
Um, I started the project on my own because there was so many variables involved in the whole thing. The floors were completely out of whack. Like we were talking like inches in terms of variability across a 40-foot span. Like it was really, really wild. And it was so although the graphics weren't very detailed, it was so precise in that the spacing of the graphics needed to be completely perfect because it was 10 frames on a 40-foot wall. Those frames had to be spaced correctly, and you wanted to make sure that your margins on the ends were the same. And we know in printing that like the wall pen isn't exactly perfect in the X direction. And so compounded over 40 feet, you can end up with like, everything out of whack. Anyways, all that to say was like, I spent a lot of time on site by myself trying to like figure out what that all looked like. Once I had a process in place, I brought somebody in to help me out. And it was just that sweet start with going ahead and getting the next set a track ready to go, line it up, get it level, so that by the time I'm done here, I can just roll the machine onto the next piece of track and then start printing. And then we can go back and disassemble, right? So that the downtime between one print to the next print is like minimal, right? And that really comes down to having track ready at the next place to roll the machine up, do your nozzle checks, and then hit print. And then you can go back and deal with whatever happened at that last site. Gives you time to kind of bring things over. And then we just leapfrogged our track all the way along.
That's perfect. Okay. Yeah, I very much had that mindset of I would essentially have everything set up in the next room so I could just wheel it on to the next one.
Yeah, and then there comes down to the wheeling, which was something that I played a lot with. The wall pen has those kind of caster wheels. I don't know if you've used it.
I do. I use it all the time. Yeah.
Do you use it? Okay, sweet. So yeah, I wasn't particularly a fan of them, especially on this project, given how much I had to move. The idea of having to bend down and lift the machine up every time just seemed a little more cumbersome. I tried to create some ramps off the edge of my track, 3D print some ramps off the edge of my track so I can wheel it off. But because of the way the cross beams work with the wall pen track, the casters would get stuck. So that became cumbersome. And so what I ended up doing was creating a platform out of a piece of plywood, and I put some very low profile casters underneath. And I wish I could find the video, and I've been searching through my photos, and for whatever reason, I can't seem to find it. But anyways, it was a plywood. Oh, here it is. 1 second. Let me add this to. I'll share my screen because this made the world of a difference in terms of moving the machine around. So I'll share my screen.
I can already hear my back feeling better after this.
So this is where I started.
Oh, nice.
Right? 3D printed some ramps.
Yeah.
But this cross piece, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this cross piece got in the way of the casters. So I couldn't quite get the casters in enough time to before it rolls off the track. And my 3D printer, I maxed out the width of the bed. So I couldn't extend those tracks out. So I could have got nifty there. But again, the casters just didn't seem, it left some variability to the whole thing. So what I ended up doing, those are just setups. That's what I was printing. Just a whole bunch of squares. Yeah. So that's what I ended up creating. So it was a platform out of plywood that was exactly the same width of my track. And I had very low profile casters on it. Let's see.
I see what you did. Okay.
I just rolled the thing onto the platform.
Yeah, it's like a dolly almost.
Yep. And it's level. So I would adjust my track at the end of my print. I'd roll it on. I got real fancy with it with some magnetic. I like woodwork. I like woodworking, so it was more of a hobby project. But nonetheless, you get the idea. And they're really low profile casters. And I rolled that thing around the entire building, up elevators, down elevators. I only took the masts off and the print head off when I moved it, just to keep it a little easier. But otherwise, nothing. And then I rolled it into the next room and rolled it onto the track. Now, yeah. So that's the way I did it. I don't know. This might not work necessarily in a hotel, depending on that's how I moved my stuff. All the other stuff from floor to floor. I just kept the track assembled,
That's okay.
tied it
The
to a
things I
dolly.
can learn, right?
Yeah. Again, man, this was after 4 floors. I was like, you know what? I bet if I just kept all my track assembled.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure I'd have
Eventually
gotten
you
there
just
in my
start, yeah,
15th room.
try to save, like you said, try to save your back.
Right.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah, you can do it, and like the way to do it in a tight hotel room might be to, instead of having your first length of track set up right up against the wall, set up your second length of track so that you can slide the dolly in, roll your machine onto the second length of track, slide your dolly out, put your first length of track in, roll your machine back, and now you're set up and you've got 2 lengths of track. Yeah, you're back. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but I heard you.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So that's the way I would do it. I found it significantly easier than the caster wheels, having to bend over and try to like find the hole every time. It did for that project did not suit me. And given you're going to be doing 100 rooms and across multiple floors, getting casters over the lip of an elevator is going to be its own challenge as well, right? So I found that just to be super handy. I did that with a push dolly, and yeah, I was set, man. And then I bought a really small table, folding table from Costco, and one folding chair. I bought a second one when I ended up hiring an employee because a good employer like that. But 2 folding chairs and a table, and like every time I went to the next print spot, I brought the essentials, the printer, the track, and a table with a chair. So I had a place to sit and do some work.
Nice.
And I had a home base. So on every floor for you, it would be like room 101, 201, 301 will be where I store all of my bags, all of my stuff. So that it's all on the same floor. And then I'd only move the printer and my table and chair with the track. And then once the floor is done, pack everything up, move to the next floor, set up a home base, and kind of move your way through the rooms that way.
Nice. Which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, to just have a home base and only relocate the essentials.
Yeah, it's like you eventually when you realize that, like when you're on site, sitting on a bucket or sitting on your tool bag for so long, like it's just like, man, I'm gonna be here for a while. Like just set yourself up for like $30 from Costco. You know what I mean? Like just set yourself up to be comfortable, because that way you can eat your lunch while the machine's printing. That way you can get some work done. Like there's so much that can be happening. Given you're in a room, given the machine is just like kind of cruising. I'm assuming you have the wheel guides. So it kind of just sits there. You're watching it, you're listening to see if anything like hits the wall, and then otherwise you're, waiting for the machine to be done.
Right. Yeah. The wheel guides are essential. Mine actually ripped off one of the heads by accident.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I think hopefully Liam was able to ship you out a replacement.
Yeah. He's amazing. I had nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah. Liam's the man. Yeah.
So, okay. So question for you then, cause this is the other portion of my, not concern, but, my knowledge seeking. Is as far as like logistics go with like equipment, I don't know what the overall turnaround is for like a print head or something like that, but I don't want to be mid print and then run out of a print head. So is it a matter of like I should anticipate having something like this in stock already?
Given the size of the project, man, spend the $590 and get yourself a spare print head.
Right. Does the print head go to any color, or is it just?
Yep.
So it's a print head can be utilized in any one. So if I got 1 or 2 backups just as a fail safe, that would be best practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what Walpen's doing in terms of their like spare parts these days. We always had them. We always had them in stock. I don't know if they're coming from North America or Europe, but regardless, I would make sure you have at least one spare print head. I would make sure you have spare ink bags, which should be in your.
I have those. Yeah.
Machine. Yeah. So spare ink bags, spare print head.
Why do you recommend the ink bags? Because in my brain, I don't know why I would ever use those again.
You never know why you need them until you need them. It's like one of those things where you're just like, well, shit, my ink's leaking. I'm in a hotel. Like I can't limp this thing along while I'm dripping ink everywhere. It's just it's such a low cost thing to have on hand, and the kind of repercussions of an ink bag failing are so catastrophic to a mess and time that there's nothing more frustrating than like end of the day having an ink bag like burst or get a hole in you.
I've never done this, but I made a mistake recently that's encouraged me to want to do this. But would you recommend putting like a drop cloth of some kind under, like the full print, or? And the
You
reason I
know,
bring it up, right, is because I went to a site, I filled the blue cyan, and I had a 8 foot by 20 foot mural. So in my brain, I was like, I'm going to use a crap ton of ink. I think I used like 100 something milliliters of ink in total, like 78 of black alone. And Liam said that it holds up to 120 milliliters, so I knew I had enough. But I was still just, you don't know when those bags are full, right? So I just kept filling.
sure, sure,
And then
sure.
I looked down, and my ink is just pouring out of the front of my ink head, just like all over the floor. And like I was so lucky it was a cement floor that they were having like redone and refurbished. But yeah, there's just blue ink everywhere all over the floor, and I was like mortified. Oh my god, what do I do?
Yes, 100%, especially in a hotel room, especially on carpet. Throwing some sort of drop cloth down, you get them at the dollar store. Like they're pretty cheap. They're pretty easy. Buy two of them again, so that you can have the next room set up,
Mm,
right? Like always think about what are the low cost things that you need in every room. Like every time you set up, it's like a drop cloth is one of those. It's like whatever it is, $10, $15. Like buy two of them so that you know that the next room is set up with a drop cloth, a section of track, and you're good.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah. Anything you can do to streamline that setup is really where you're going to gain the most efficiencies in this type of project. When you're iterating the same thing and repeating the same thing 100 times, if it takes you 20 minutes every time and you eliminate that, that saves you several hours across the whole project.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure I probably have other questions I can ask down the road, but the only one that really pops to mind now is, was there anything as far as like volume and printing in volume that you sort of wish you knew or prepared for ahead of time, to sort of like have something on hand that like, oh, I wish I had just brought this with me, or I wish I
I
had
mean,
had
aside
more
from
of
the
these.
aside from the table and chair, I mean, I'd been printing for like 6 years before I realized that like for $30 I can have a nice padded chair and a table, which is ridiculous to think back at all the times I was sitting on the floor.
Right, right.
Printing at volume, no. I mean, like we said, I think having spares on hand again is like a worthwhile endeavor. Again, a delay on a single print on a one project is its own thing, but if you're on a project like this where you want to keep the printer on site, just have the spares. You're going to need them eventually, so it's not like it's going to be a sunk cost. Your floors should be pretty level, so that shouldn't be a huge concern. Because I always have a laser level, which was a big one for my project, but my floors were completely out of whack. So um,
You had a laser level, even though you had the floor levels on
I
the
don't
joists
I don't
themselves.
I don't trust the floor level. Not that I don't trust them. They like it's really easy to compound problems across multiple segments of track when you're trying to level one track individually. And so the way I do it, and even now, even on a flat floor, again, not that's necessarily a technique that you'd have to use here, but even on a flat floor, I set up a laser level, it's at a fixed height, and then I set up my track, and I take a measurement with my, extender ruler, right off the two corners of the start of my track, right, and I set it at a height, and then I go all the way to the other end, and I do the same thing, and I set it at like say it's 30 centimeters, right? 30
Mm,
centimeters at all four corners. And then I do 30 centimeters across the track, in like three locations. And now I
interesting.
know my track is bones level, guaranteed, no wobble, no anything on it. I do the walk across
Right.
and then I put my machine on it. You know what I mean? Um, and so come to think of it, it might be a worthwhile thing to do here because you're going to be putting in, assuming you go with the Dolly approach, you're going to be installing one segment of track. You're going to be moving your printer, putting the printer on that segment of track, and then you're going to add another segment. And I find leveling a track with a printer on it can create its own set of issues. And so if you have a baseline of a laser level that's like,
Okay.
separate from the track, it allows you to level without any concern of, are you going to get any sort of weird wobbles?
Mm.
Does that make sense? It's like it's a
No,
little
it,
easier to
it
draw,
absolutely
but
does.
a laser level gives you a reference that isn't tied to the thing that you're trying to level. Right. The
Right.
problem with those bubbles is like, okay, well, this one's level, and now I'm going to attach something here, and now this one's out of level, which is going to pop this one out of level, and then I level this, but then this, and then you're doing this the whole time, and everything becomes
Right.
this like
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
sawing them
because
in.
those feet
So
aren't flush. I mean, they'll adjust to whatever curvature there is in
yeah,
the floor.
yeah, and if you don't have the center feet touching the floor, your track will sag, right? So that's going to throw your level off. Or if your center feet are high, it'll create this bowing effect, and you could end up with this kind of weird teeter-totter effect. So you go and level this side, and this side's kind of hanging in space, which then puts this at a level, and then you end up kind of chasing your tail. And so with a laser level, the way to do it is you set it up and you do the ends, right? And then you do the middle, and then you do quarters. So you ends, you have a sag, you bring your center up, right, to the same level, and then you can fill in all of the feet if you're doing, depending on the length of your track. And then that way you have no teeter in your track, you have no like bend or wobble. All your feet are touching the ground, everything's firm and stable, and you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm just having that extra fail safe because, yeah, I mean, not to sort of the same effect. I have that issue when I'm trying to get it flush with the wall. Right? I mean, a lot of New England walls in general are not flush. They're just
Yeah.
old style, right? And they're kind of curvature. And I try my best to use those little, feet markers or whatever, the black posts that you can adjust the length to sort of get it lined up. But like I'll go to move the front half of the track out and then the back half of the whole thing comes out with it. So it's like, I need someone on the other end just to hold that side down so I can adjust this without moving the whole thing and throwing that side
Yeah,
off.
I mean, the biggest tip there is have your track set up before you put your printer on it. That's like
Yeah,
if you can get your track set up before you get your printer on it, it becomes a lot easier because then everything builds up and you're not having to do any adjustment. So,
right, right.
even if you're setting up a single segment of track, put those track guides on that give you measurement to the wall. Right
Mhm.
now, that piece of track is parallel. Every other sequential piece should be parallel to the wall. Right, and you can do a check, but you should be good to go. Yeah, it's just a floor. Given that you're going to be dealing with kind of a carpet, it's a
Mhm.
hotel, so at least it's a firm carpet. So I don't see any sort of major concern there. But any sort of carpet, you don't exactly know what's underneath it, so it's always a good idea to do a track test before you put your printer on, which is make sure that everything's level, make sure all your feet are touching the ground. Um, the way that I do that is I walk on it. Did you train with Liam in person?
I did, yeah. I
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
walk on it too because you'll
yeah,
feel the feet like clip in sometimes. Yeah, like set in
yeah.
or something. Yeah,
Well, yeah. So the plastic feet ends can come off the post, and
yeah, yeah.
so they can kind of hang out there. And when you stand on it, it like locks it in. And
Locks. Yeah,
now when you like take your weight off of it, that foot isn't touching the ground. And if the printer rolls over it, now you have this bit of like flex in your track that
Mhm.
actually causes your whole printer to move, which then causes your Z axis to go kind of wonky. And then you're starting to wonder why your image is getting blurry. Right.
Right, right.
Um, so anyways, kind of, I've just like been a track preacher about like anybody who's doing any sort of printing, like spend the time setting up your track because we know the machine goes together in like 5 minutes, right? It's 20 minutes on your track setup is a worthwhile endeavor to make sure that everything is set so that you're not having to think about what your issue could be mid print. And
Mhm.
it could be the track, but there's no way to diagnose it until you get your printer off of it, or
Right.
you don't want to be futzing with your track mid print. So yeah, that laser level, an electric screwdriver. All right. So I got, let's see here. Given you're going to be doing a lot of assembly and disassembly.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because my only concern was like an over torque or something like that. If I got one that was too powerful.
So this one has a clutch setting. The manufacturer might have different opinions on this, but this has been a godsend for me. It has a clutch setting that allows you to adjust the clutch. But more so than that, it's a nice way to it's more for the feet of your track, given you're going to be doing track adjustments in every
Mm,
room, having to bend down and twist every time, where this, you just kind of bend down and push and it goes, and you can kind of like fine tune it. I think they're like 50 or $60. The Canadian version on Amazon is obviously completely out to lunch. I think I only spent $60 on it, but uh,
I can always check Home Depot and see what
yeah,
they're.
some form or version of that, and
Yeah.
then get a 6 millimeter bit that fits in there. But that was super helpful. What else? Spacers. You have your vinyl, obviously, right? Your low tack vinyl.
Low tech mag. Don't leave home without it.
Yeah, that's a big one. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
have
it's
my.
all.
I'll probably end up getting like more cleaner. I know I'm going to need more cleaner. I know I'm going to need a crap ton of more inks. I don't know how to calculate ink costs, to be honest, because I have no idea what the murals are going to be or entail or how much milliliters they're going to absorb. I mean, I can just ballpark it, but well, I'm going to have to ballpark it. But
Yeah, again, that's kind of why you want to price yourself, assuming that you're going to be doing white, because of that you have all of those kind of all encompassed costs. Again, the ink
right,
isn't a huge variable on the project, but it could impact your close to $1 a square foot, especially if you're buying with the wall pen ink, right? It's not
right.
cheap.
You say with the
From
wall pen ink as though there's alternatives.
No, I was just like
Oh,
there are no alternatives. Just like
okay, okay.
wall pen
That
ink
was
is
news to me.
yeah, particularly expensive. Um, but again, even at that price, it's not. It's like less, about less than $1 a square foot.
Right, right.
So anywhere between 55 to like $85 cents a square foot is
Hmm.
probably a good benchmark in terms of how much ink you're going to use for your pricing. And then, I mean, you'll be in a hotel, so at least you'll have plugs everywhere. But a battery pack was a nice thing to have, like for my phone and anything like that. Oh, I don't know how you manage. How do you control your printer? Do you use the tablet or do you use your laptop?
I was using my tablet until it started telling me that every file that I tried to upload into it was too much for my RAM. So now I need to. Well, I had to invest in a laptop, but it's been the probably best investment I've done since I bought the wall pen.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so
I
that's
was
great.
running the nightmare of calling my graphic designer on site and being like, "Can you adjust this 3 inches so I can fit it on this wall and then send it back to me?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I need to just fix these myself."
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you were trying to make those types of adjustments, yeah, no tablet is going to be able to handle
Yeah,
it
no.
unless you spend whatever it is, $1,700 on a iPad Pro. Okay, so yeah, that's great. A laptop is good. I used a tablet not necessarily to do any editing, but just to control the printer. Um,
Yeah, so I do use the tablet to control the printer.
okay.
I had a weird issue where, and I think I figured it out. I think I had too many devices trying to attach to the wall pen because I sort of went through and I realized that somewhere trying to connect to it at the same time, it would like throw off the signal. Where I'd be like mid
Yeah.
print and then it would just say cannot connect to the wall pen. The printer would keep on printing and doing everything fine, but I could not reconnect to the printer until after the print was done.
Yeah. That's no fun.
But I but I think it's just because I was connected on too many, like my phone, my tablet, my laptop.
Yeah. Okay. So it's working now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So if you do use the tablet to control your printer, another like low cost quality of life improvements that we did was get a like camera tripod and a tablet mount. And that way you always have a spot for your tablet. It's always at eye level. And I just park it in front of my track and it's there. I never have to think about
Nice.
where it is. Never have to worry about putting it down. I pick up the whole tripod with the tablet mount and the tablet and move it to the next place, put it down, and it's like kind of presented and ready for me.
Right.
Yeah, I found that to be really handy rather than having it sit on the printer or put it on a desk and you can never remember where it is.
No,
Um,
that's 100% smart because I can't tell you how many times I put it down and go, where did I put
yeah, where
that?
the hell did I put it? Right. So that way
Yeah,
it's like it's always there. And I don't like using my laptop only for the reason, especially on projects like this, is like I'm doing work on my laptop. Like I like to
mm,
have my laptop kind of available
right,
to be able to do the stuff that I need to do. And if it's tied to the printer, then I'm just kind of sitting there twiddling my thumbs or on scrolling social media, which isn't doing anybody any favors.
right, right,
Um,
right.
so that was another one. Yeah, from hardware, that's all I can think of at this point. A ladder, it's like a nice thing to have on some of these projects. You just never know when you're going to come up against something, but not critical, and you're not going to be in a place where the ceilings are going to be super high. It's a hotel, so
Right. Yeah, like eight
stand,
foot ceilings max,
yeah,
probably.
stand on a bucket if you really need to like get access to something. But worth keeping in mind as you go and scope the rooms to make sure that like in fact they are clear. Um, and you're not having to like compete with any obstructions, sprinklers, hanging lights, sconces, and those types of things.
Right, right.
um, I always give myself a little bit of extra. I don't know how you manage your margins when you do your graphics, but I like to give myself a little bit of extra margin if I'm going into a project somewhat blind, just to give myself accommodation. So
You do your own
usually
graphics?
I do my own graphics. Yeah.
Yeah, that's slight differences. I've tried to do my own graphics and have not been nearly as
Well, no, sorry,
successful as
not not
others.
not
So,
the my own graphics, just as a more as so as a communication to the customer. Like we're going to be at least 13 inches from the ceiling.
okay, I
You
understand.
know, so like they understand what the limitations of the graphics are up front, right?
Right.
Obviously, we're not going floor to ceiling, wall to wall, and so when I'm
And
doing
I did
my
touch on
sizing,
that in our conversations, but should I be mentioning that or reiterating that in the estimate and essentially saying like,
so
or I
I
guess
add.
like if I send an estimate, should I also attach it with like scope of work, like what that like what the
Yeah, let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find a quote that I submitted. So I always add margins in the appendix of all of my quotes, so at least they're there. If the customer has any questions, then they can ask the questions. But at least I know that it's been included, and it's pretty easy to like understand that there is in fact a margin. And so if they're like, "Well, I thought we were going to go floor to ceiling," it gives me at least a point. You should be addressing it kind of early on, but it's always nice to have. Much more than that, I really don't. I don't include much more than that. Yeah. So this is basically something like that. There's various versions of it, but it gives them an idea of what my minimum distances are from top to bottom, left and right.
would you be able to share that with me?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I guess another question for you is like, how do you break down your? I mean, I do everything through QuickBooks right now. Like, do you do line items? I mean, what type of line items are you looking to incorporate versus without over complicating or over.
On a project like this, I would probably do it piecemeal on a like the rooms are going to be the same size. You know, presumably they're going to be roughly the same type of graphic, or at least I'd quote them to be the same type of graphic. So I would do one graphic, one room graphic at this price, no square footage. I would put the size of the graphic, so at least it's stated in your quote. So one hotel room mural at 48 inches by, you said 4 feet by 12 feet.
12? Yeah.
So 144, right? Math. Yeah, 144 by 48, so that they know, so you're at least fixed and agreed on in terms of sizing. And then I would just put a unit price. It's going to be $1,500 for that times 100, and then that's it. Like, and then that way it's super simple. They know exactly what they're getting per cost per room, and then it gives you an option to kind of have a discussion after that. But I don't do any mobile. It's on a project that size. I'm not really doing any mobilizing costs because they're insignificant. I'm not doing. I don't
Hmm.
break out ink pricing. I don't break out really anything at that point. I'll eat a lot of it if I'm getting even $15 a square foot on a project of that size. Like I'll eat the wall cleaning. I'll eat any of the, if I have to remove a socket cover, I just like try not to worry about that, assuming that they're good with me doing those types of things.
Right.
Um, it's trying to keep a perspective of it's still good work. It's really not that hard work. And if I
Hmm.
can make, you know, $300 an hour by printing, like that's a good day for anybody. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Sign
yeah,
me up.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I try to give myself enough buffer so that like I know I'm going to handle those things. If everything goes smoothly and I don't have to do any of those things, like that's just a good project for you, man. That's just like that doesn't mean that you should be discounting it, in my opinion. It's like no, that's what you're worth. That's what the service is worth. So trying to maximize savings for the customer on every turn is like one of the part of the business is to make money. So it's okay to make money. It's like I had early days I had to like give myself that permission. It's like, no, I'm like here to make money. The customer is going to be happy with the end result. My only benchmark for customer success is whether or not they call me back. Like, and so if I price it and my quality is good enough for them to give me a shout back and say, hey, we have another project, like, man,
Hmm.
oh man, that's a win right across the board. And
Nice.
so
Nice.
that's kind of how
Yeah. The
I
goal is
how
to
I look at
open
it.
the door to many hotels after this, but we shall see.
Yeah,
It
absolutely, man.
requires.
I'm curious, like, if you don't mind kind of elaborating, tell me more about your digital ad strategy, because you're kind of one of the first people that people have tried it, but I don't think very many people have been successful at it. So I'd love to
Sure.
know kind of like what you're running, what platforms you're using,
Yeah, so
what
I'll,
that
I'll
looks
break
like.
it down. Full transparency, right? It was a huge leap of faith for me because it's not an inexpensive venture, right? I did hire someone specifically who I met through a networking group I probably interviewed 7 or 8 different marketing agencies, and they were all sort of promising the same thing, but I didn't really feel that either they understood this particular project because they never worked with something like this before, or I just felt like what they were offering was not what this needed in order to grow.
Good for you
So
for
I'm
having that foresight, man, because we spent a fortune learning that lesson. Like, it's a
yes,
very hard service to try to market, and it doesn't fit into the standard marketing box
right,
of traditional
right.
marketing. So, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. So I met up with this gentleman, and he essentially runs all my Facebook ads. He created 5 hooks, and then within those 5 hooks, we ran them for a week. Whatever the top 3 most effective were, we took off the lower 2 and then added more to those 3. And then after 2 weeks, we ended up taking off the bottom third one and just put all of the money behind the 2 most receptive ads, ones that the hooks that were really like catching with people. That ended up being one with schools. We sort of had the pitch of like, does your school need a facelift in less than one day, or something to really?
Are these still images, still creatives, or video creatives?
No, it's video creative.
Nice,
Yeah, I
nice.
can
Yeah,
absolutely share with you too, so you
yeah,
get your
that'd be great.
perspective because I'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
And yeah, what I was printing in a school, I was printing in a high school, and I had them come down, and I actually had the printer going on in the background, printing on the wall for the school, doing different logos and stuff. And it was essentially just a bunch of like quick still shots or quick moving shots of me, delivering the hook, and saying, what specifically was that differentiated us between wallpaper and vinyl, which are your traditional, go-tos. That's all you know. And in New England, that was one of my big things. Was I was like, do you own a New England facility that has wallpaper or vinyl that's tearing and peeling off the wall and da, 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 and that basically ticks every single box for every New England homeowner. So I think that resonated with a lot of people, and they reached out and were like, oh, I've got a quote for this vinyl, but it's a nightmare to work with. What do you do? What are your services? How do you do this? And when they start going down that rabbit hole with you, they really? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Now I'm interested. It's like they're
amazing, man.
interested, and then they talk to you, and they're even more interested. So it's a
Yeah,
good feeling.
good for you, dude. That's a really astute observation, and again, something that we've spent so much time learning. So I think you nailed it. I think the personability of it, having you talking, it's not for everybody, but I think it really personalizes the brand. I think you hit the pain points, right? If you have peeling vinyl and you see that ad, my God, are you like, yes, that is my problem? And I
Right.
think
Right.
that's where a lot of wall printers end up getting caught, is like, you're selling the advantage, but not necessarily the pain. So how do I know that advantage applies to me? Do I really need stunning murals on my wall? It's like, it'd be nice, but I really don't feel a pain of stunning murals. But man, oh man, if you spent thousands of dollars on vinyl and it's been peeling and bubbling or what have you, like, yeah, I'm looking for a solution to that. I never want to experience that again, right?
Right. Right.
And then you're industry specific, right? Schools, we know, is a hot market for this type of technology. It's a great
Yes.
application for it. And so, yes, I am a school facilities manager. Yes, this is exactly the types of problems I have. Yes, I can see this in my space. You kind of hit the trifecta of trying to create a great video ad. That's awesome. I would love to see it. I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. And I think playing, something that Mark and I have always have been toying with recently, is like really playing off the vinyl game, right? Have you gotten a vinyl quote today? Like, send it to
Yes.
me. I bet you we can beat it. I bet you we can do better. I bet you we can, I'll give you reasons why this is the right opportunity. It's like, I have gotten a vinyl quote. That means that person is absolutely looking for something on their wall. Well, that's the person I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to the person who has a blank wall but has never thought about putting anything on it. Now I got to convince you that it's worth putting something on it. I need to convince you that there's a bunch of challenges with putting something on it, and that I want to convince you that I'm the solution to those challenges. That's like how much money I'm going to spend on putting those
Yes.
ads out there to
Yes.
effectively impact your behavior. No. I want to get the person who's absolutely ready to make that purchase on something on their wall, and I want to tell them why my services are better than the alternative services.
Right. Right. No, that's
So,
spot on. And I can't tell you how many times I've had the conversation with people for half an hour about what the tech is and what it can do for them. And then they go, oh, so you print on a sticker and put a sticker on the wall? And I
yeah,
go, just watch this video.
yeah,
I just, you got to see it. When you see it, everything clicks. It all comes together.
yeah. So you're running exclusively Facebook right now, or Meta?
Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, Meta. Yeah, yeah, okay.
So I mean, it's all in the same. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and so I pay 2,500 a month for the services of the script and the running of the ad. So he runs it himself. That was the biggest pill for me to swallow. I mean, I don't have that money right now.
Huge.
But you gotta invest to get exposure to the market. So, and then
Does
I would
that
say I
include
do
does that include your ad spend?
no. So then I do an additional 400 to 600 for ad spend per month for those.
Right.
That being said, right, this landed me my Best Western
Mm-hmm.
conversation that we're talking about right now. I would say that within 1 month, I had 34 leads that came through from those ads. I would say about 40% of them generated in actual ideal customers. And I would say about 25% of them have either closed a deal or in final stages of closing a deal.
Nice.
So
Those
it's
are good
been,
numbers,
it's been
man.
really, it's been great.
So your return on ad spend is positive.
Yeah, it will be after I've complete the positions, the jobs
Yeah,
itself.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's another, it's easy to say with you and I having a conversation here. It's like, well, it's worth the investment. But what
Right.
I think can't be overstated is you went through how many? 8 different marketing agencies and had the kind of like wherewithal to understand what was going to be a good agency and what was going to be a bad agency, understanding which metrics that your agency should be optimizing for. A lot of people will be like, I can get this in front of 10,000 local people in your area. I can get this in front of 15,000. It's like, I don't care about exposure or impressions. Impressions mean nothing to me. I care about conversions. So if this thing isn't making me any money, it can go to 100 people. But if 50 of those 100 buy my services, like that's where I want to be, right?
Exactly. And that was the leap of faith, right? That was definitely the leap of faith. And I told the guy right out the gate, I said, listen, this is a lot for me. I said, I'm not overtly comfortable doing this. I said, I feel like it's an essential thing. I feel like the technology sells itself, and that to see it, right, people instantly are like, what is that? What is that? I'm curious. Now we're starting to have those conversations. And that was my motivation behind it. And I think he understood that. He really embraced let's get this machine front and center. Let's really emphasize the selling points that are pain points for others.
Pain points. Yeah. Why should people act today? What is it that you're solving for me? Right.
Exactly. Right. You're looking at prints that can any photorealistic print. Right. You can't have a muralist paint a photorealistic print. Right. You can have a wall vinyl person do it without causing damage or adhesive to the door. You probably got like a 3-week push out time for them. And then they have to do wall preparation and all that stuff, right? I can come in same day. I can print your image in that day. I can be out of your hair in that day. And you don't even know I'm here. You just left with this gorgeous image on the wall. No dramatic smells, no VOCs, no, wear, tear, like all that's, it's gone. It's out of your hair. Like I've simplified your branding headache. That's sort of the way I position myself.
That's great, man. I want a wall print. You sold me. Jeez. That's awesome. Yeah. No, but it's true, man. That's the right way to think about it. And that's the right way to think about marketing as a whole. It's just given what we're offering is so new, it's like, again, can't tell you how many times we preach this, but it's like, you're not necessarily selling the tech, you're selling the solution. And to sell a solution, you got to understand the problem. And the problem is going to be different depending on the market you're tackling, right? So your school market has a very specific problem. Their vinyl, I'm sure, is peeling and pulling and bubbling because it's cinder block walls and you've got students peeling it. So like that's going to hit. That's a problem that we have. This is a solution, right? The hotel might be something a little different. You can't steal a wall print. You know what I mean? Like you can't really like bump it or break the glass or, whatever. It's like, no, it's on the wall, right? And it can be done in a day, and the room is really just going to be occupied for, given your size and the print speeds we're talking about, a half a day. So you're really not even going to lose a night. You get a late check-in that day, like you're still good, right?
Exactly.
No downtime, no waste. It's like all of those things. It's all specific to the customer, and so it's really important to understand, especially when you're running targeted ads, that if you're going to go after the schools, target the problems the schools have. Don't give them all the problems that you think you can solve, just like the ones that you think are the biggest for them, right?
Yes. Yeah. And then the best part about it is at a certain point, it becomes about keeping up with the Joneses, right? When I've done something for these 3 high schools now,
and you're
right.
And
then,
did
you see what they did over there on their walls? Now we got to have something like that over here.
The
Yeah.
best story was one of the operators out of Greenville, South Carolina, Justin. He got a high school project, big school mural, like the school logo, right in the
Mm.
front of their building inside, but it happened to be in front of a like row of windows. So like he was there printing at night, and like you could see the whole thing, and you could see this 40-foot mural getting printed. And by the next day, the competing school across the street had reached out to him and be like, I want what they had. Like, that looks awesome. We need it. And so it was
Yes.
just like,
Yes.
yeah, clearly this is working for them. Like, we have a big giant wall in our space, like come print with us,
Yeah.
And
Love it.
it is,
Love it.
it's social proof. It's the, like, I don't, convincing the first person to do it is always a challenge. You need that person who gets like, sounds like this Best Western guy, like understands the value of the tech, is willing to like take that leap of faith that like, this is what Ryan is saying it is, right? Which it is. And you demonstrate it for them, and you're like, well, look, Best Western did it. Holiday Inn Express, you guys should probably consider it too. Hey, Marriott, this
Yeah.
is
Keep up.
yeah, you got
Keep
to
up.
keep up. Your competition is finding better solutions than you guys. It's going to save you guys money. It's going to, improve your aesthetic, yada yada yada. And now you got all the hotels in New England.
Right. Right. Oh, fingers crossed. Right.
Fingers crossed, man. Yeah, I mean that's the hope. But yeah, listen, man. I appreciate you sharing your experience, obviously, and happy to share mine. Listen, as this project progresses, as things come up, definitely, feel free to lean on us. Give us a shout. I'm curious to see how this goes, and hopefully, maybe in January or February, we'll get back on and hear about the follow up.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for it. I definitely am, and thank you for all the knowledge share. I know you're a pioneer in the space here, so it's a privilege to be able to get what you can
Yeah,
share
man,
with
I'm
me.
just happy to be able to share it with people at this point, man. My wife is sick and tired of hearing of it, so I can't. Talking about wall printing is what we do, and so it's nice to be able
Yes,
to chat with guys who are going to be able to execute on this stuff, man. I love hearing about opportunities like this. So this is truly a demonstration of what's possible.
yes,
And I hope this works out.
yeah. Thank you very much, definitely, and we'll be in touch, Mark. I appreciate all the help.
Yeah, Ryan, good luck with the rest of that project there, man.
Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya. All right, that's a wrap on today's conversation. Massive thanks to Ryan for pulling back the curtain on what it takes to tackle a job of this size. Now, if you're working to grow your wall printing business, or even just thinking about getting started, this is exactly the kind of insights that can save you time, money, and headaches. And that's what we're all about at the Wall Print Academy: real world support, proven strategies, and a community of operators who are building this industry together. So if you haven't already, check out the link below, join the Academy. And if you got value from this video, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more conversations like this. We'll see you in the next one.